This has come in. People are talking about this, Gilda. It was the picture for today's show. Welcome to Portugal, the new expat haven. Californians, please go home. Now, I'm not going to read through the whole article. I will put the link to it in the chat. But, I mean, you must have seen an absolute upswell in American interest in Portugal. What do you make of this new article in the LA Times and similar articles? Because it's not the only one.
Well, I think that Portugal is going through a bittersweet feeling about the expats in Lisbon, because they want to receive them, but at the same time they feel that the houses are going to get the prices of the houses are getting very expensive, and they can no longer live in the places in Lisbon that they used to live. But this is not one thing that has to do with Americans only. Just to give you an example, there are buildings, entire buildings in the Expo that were sold to another nationality I don't want to mention for golden visas, and the entire building is empty.
Yeah.
And it's like degrading, you know.
Of course.
And it's sad for the Portuguese to see that they could live there. It's their city, and they can't, because these people bought the properties and they are not living there.
So what do you think is the solution to this? I mean, you know, Portugal, Lisbon is not alone in this phenomenon, is it? This is what we might loosely call gentrification, the foreigner buying power coming in, destabilizing things, locking locals out of neighborhoods that they would have grown up in and they can no longer get access to. People would look to the government, wouldn't they, to deal with this in some way. And of course, we have had little gestures, haven't we, from the government to try and address this. On the one hand, a modern government is thinking, yes, all of this inward investment is a fantastic idea, but also we need to balance that with the needs of our local inhabitants and our voters, basically, who shouldn't feel the rough end of this phenomenon. Do you think the Portuguese government is making an effort with this and is getting it right?
Yes, the balance already came with the new rules for the golden visa. Now,
okay.
if you want to invest, it needs to be in the interior of Portugal.
Yeah. And well, we're seeing this, aren't we? And in the north, because I spoke to Anna Caramujo of Savicat on Thursday on the webinar, and she says Braga is experiencing well, Porto, we know, don't we? And now Braga is experiencing this same phenomenon that we're speaking of here.
Yes, that's true.
And so from the point of view, if we take the emphasis away from what the government could do, because sometimes, let's face it, you have to wait a long time for the government to respond. We go back to what James was saying about personal choices and what you can do for yourself. Would you say then, to expand on what you just said, the smart thing to do is to look at central Portugal, is to go into the interior, is to consider. I mean, there is still a lot of Portugal that is unknown to the rest of the world, right? The phenomenon we're talking about here is a lot to do with the capital. It's a lot to do with Porto, Braga, and the Algarve, possibly, and maybe the Silver Coast to some extent. But that, by no means, is all of Portugal, is it? There is so much more of Portugal to explore.
Yes, exactly, and we need to be very grateful, because we were in an economic crisis, and without any doubt, it was the tourism and what the foreigners invest in Portugal and the expats that went to live here that took us out of the economic crisis. So this was a blessing for us. On the other hand, of course, there were people that were sad because they could no longer live in central Lisbon. But we can never get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I suppose one solution might be for more public housing, social housing to be built in the capital. But yes, this is a globalization. This is a very modern thing, isn't it? It's not, and like I said before, this is certainly not unique to Portugal or Lisbon. This seems to be happening all over the world, and countries can become victims of their own success. And unfortunately, that is felt on a personal level among people. But I'm glad to hear that you think the response is fairly constructive and positive. And I suppose that's a really good way of seeing it. That it's a good start, isn't it? It's a good start to have the stimulation of inward investment. And what we do now over here is important. And we talk a lot about this at Expats Portugal. The expats, the immigrants, the foreigners, being of a certain kind of mentality and being respectful. That's really important as well, I think. And that's a conversation we'll continue to have here. Anything else you want to say about this particular? This whole thing that seems to be gathering ground and is so much more popular in the mainstream media and certainly the American media there, Gilda?
Yes, and another issue is that you have decreased our employment a lot.
Okay. Decrease as in more people have jobs now. It's stimulating.
Yes, more people have jobs now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the tourism, because of we have much more restaurants, we have more cafes, we have more hotels. So more people have jobs right now.
And that is despite 2 years of pandemic. So well done, Portugal. It has to be said, doesn't it? Despite these last crazy 2 years for the world, here we are coming into festa times and quite the most incredible party time, the Roaring 20s, as I've said. Here in Portugal, people are wanting to party, they clearly are around Portugal, and the foreigners can see that. Get yourself to a festa in central Portugal. Other parts of the country are available, other than Porto, Lisboa, Braga, Silver Coast. There is so much to enjoy here in this country, and you're coming in at a great time when people are ready to party again. You will see a fantastic face of Portugal in the coming summer, I think. Are you excited about this summer, Gilda? Did you get that same feeling as well as like Portuguese people? Yep, come on, let's go. Vamos embora. Festa, festa, festa.
I'm always excited about summer.
Okay, and do you hear in the back of your head, Obatupe, 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 Obatupe? It's one of my favorites.